In this video, I'm going to teach you how you can create this project in Procreate. So let's start by going back to our gallery so we can create a new canvas. So just hit the gallery in the top left, then in the top right corner you'll see a plus sign. So hit that and choose square, and then it will create a new canvas for you. Okay, we're going to be customizing a brush here, so let me walk you through that process. So in order to find your brushes, and brushes are just like the tools that you use, find this paintbrush icon right here and tap it. And let's find Calligraphy. Inside of the Calligraphy set, scroll until you find the one called Brush Pen. So here's Brush Pen. Now when I write with this brush pen, just to show you what it looks like, you can see that on some strokes, the stroke is more light in color, it's actually more transparent, and on some it's darker. So we want to actually customize this so that we get the same darkness throughout the entire stroke. So to customize a brush, I recommend duplicating the brush. So let's take this brush, slide it to the left, and choose duplicate. And then yours will say brush pen 1, mine says brush pen 3 because I've duplicated a few times. So to change this setting, go tap into your brush and you can rename it if you'd like. Maybe you can rename it Brush Pen Custom. And there's all these menus at the bottom. We're just going to go into pencil right here. And the second option down you can see is opacity. So I'm going to bring that down, and you can actually see in that preview right there the difference that makes. So bringing it up, you can see the ends of the stroke are more transparent, and bringing that down to 0 makes them less. You can also test the brush in this little window to test out your changes. Another common brush setting that we change is under the stroke menu, and it's called Streamline. So it's the second stroke property down. So Streamline, if I make it 0% and then draw some curves in here, the curves don't turn out very smooth, but if you drag this to 100%, you can see it sort of smooths those out and self-corrects itself. So I like to have this around 80%. Okay, let's go back to our canvas. Now, here's a quick shortcut for you. To clear everything that's inside of this layer, you can, instead of going to your eraser and trying to erase it, or going into Layers menu, you can take 3 fingers and scrub them to the left and right, and it will clear everything in the layer. Next, we're going to import a photo. So you can find this exact photo at the link in the description of this video so that you can follow along. Once you have that photo downloaded to your iPad camera roll, you can follow the next step, which is going to your wrench icon, going to Add, and then choose Insert a Photo, then find that photo and choose it, and then it will automatically put it into your canvas. So we're going to increase the size of it a little, so you can take 2 fingers and zoom like this until it's about 175 degree scale. Then you can tap that arrow again to deselect it, so now it's the right size. So we want to add a new layer on top of this template, because let me show you what would happen if I wrote on the same layer. So when you import a photo, it's going to give it its own layer here. Now if I just write on the same layer and start writing here, and let's say I mess up and I want to erase, let me grab an eraser. And I wanted to erase what I've done. Now you can see it's actually also erasing that template, which we don't want. So I'm going to take 2 fingers to tap and undo that a couple times. And now we want to add a new layer on top. So first, just to make sure that we don't ruin this layer at all, let's lock that layer. So slide this layer to the left, choose lock, and now you can't draw on it. If you try to, it's going to give you an error. So let's add a new layer by going to our layer menu, tapping that plus sign, and now we have a new layer that we can write on and erase or clear without affecting the layer below it. Now we're going to letter on top of this template. So again, making sure we're on that new layer here. You can use 2 fingers to zoom or rotate this. I like to rotate it a little bit just because that's how I normally rotate my paper when I write. Now we want to make sure that the thick strokes that we're creating with this brush are the same size as the thick strokes of this template. So if you make sure you have your brush on, draw down, and you notice that your stroke is a lot thicker. Like let's say your stroke looks like this. You can see that's so much thicker than what the template has. So I'm going to undo that. So we want to adjust our size of our brush with this top slider right here. So I'm going to take mine to about 15%. And then draw another thick line. Okay, that looks about right. So take 2 fingers to tap and undo that. You'll notice that the harder you press on this brush, the thicker your line's going to get. So it's really thick right now because I'm pressing hard. It's not as thick when you don't press as hard. So the rule of thumb for lettering is that Your downstrokes are going to be thicker, and anything that's horizontal or an upstroke will be thin. So following these arrows, first we have a downstroke, so it's going to be thicker, so press a little bit harder on your pen. And now we have a horizontal stroke that goes like this and curves up at the end. So the horizontal piece is going to be thin. So we can just keep going here. So anywhere it's going down, press harder. As you come up and around, don't press as hard so that it gets thin. And we actually lift our pen a lot in lettering. So anywhere that the stroke changes direction, unless it's a curve like this, we're going to lift our pen. So anything that's sideways, you can just make thin. And as you're going, you can sort of touch things up, like right here. I want to make that look a little bit nicer so you can kind of draw it in. All right, we're just going to keep going with the rest of this quote. So again, press harder on your downstrokes, not as hard on your upstrokes or your horizontal ones. Anywhere that this arrow changes color or you see a dot is where you should be lifting your pen. All right, so our quote is now done, and let me just go to the layers really quick to show you that you can hide the template layer that we had behind it. So now it's just the lettering and you can't see any of those arrows. We're going to create a color palette now, so I'm going to bring that template back so that you can use these colors. So right now, if you can zoom in here, and we have 4 colors for you. So to create a color palette, you're going to select these 4 colors. So instead of trying to find each of them on your color wheel manually by dragging these things around and trying to find the color, an easy way to do it is to use your eyedropper. So take one finger and tap and hold it on one of these squares, and you'll see that the color changes as you move to pick these colors. So we'll start with pink and just grab that pink there. Then go to your color menu up here, and under palettes, in the top right corner, choose the plus button to create a new palette, and it'll automatically become your default. Now tap in the top left corner of the palette to add your color. If you accidentally add it twice and you want to delete one of them, just tap and hold on that color and choose delete. So then we can keep going. So tap and hold on the purple to add it to the palette, to the dark blue, and same thing with our light blue like this. So now you have a palette of 4 colors. You can also add white to this palette, so tap and hold anywhere on the canvas, and now you have your palette. And so anytime that you change to go to any of these menus, because it's your default palette, you'll see it down here. So in order to write with these colors, like if you wanted to choose the blue, you would just open your colors, choose blue, and now you can see that blue is loaded and you can draw with your blue pen. Okay, so now we want to change the color of these words. So we can go ahead and hide that template layer for now because we don't need it anymore. So one way that you can recolor your letters, the slow way, let's make sure that we're on our layer, would be to sort of trace back over it with a new color. A quicker way is using color drop, where you can take this color up here in the top right corner and drag it into one of your letters, and then it's going to fill it like this. So you can do this with different colors for each letter, like if you wanted this one to be purple. Okay, but that also takes some time because then you have to do each individual letter, unless they're connected like the script letters right here, but then you can't really control from left to right how the colors change. So I'm going to undo all of that. Now the easy way to recolor all of your letters is to use Alpha Lock. So let's open up our layer menu, tap on the layer, and you'll see this menu come up, and choose Alpha Lock right here. So now I'm going to change my color to blue again. And you can see when I try to draw outside of the words, nothing happens, but when I go over the words, I can color on them. So it's like locking the pixels of where the words are already, and I can only color there. So to change the entire word to a different color, with Alpha Lock selected, tap your layer menu, tap on the layer and choose Fill Layer, and it will fill it with whatever color you've chosen. Okay, so now we want to create an ombre effect or a gradient effect on these letters. So we're going to go one by one with these colors here. So I'm going to start with my pink on the left, and let's increase the size of this brush to about 55%. So now what we're going to do is just take that big brush and draw some straight lines. Actually, you can make it even bigger. Let's just make it 100%. Draw some lines going down until maybe like one letter. Then choose your next color, purple, or you can use different colors if you want than what I'm doing. Fill it to about halfway. Choose your next color, that navyish blue, and then make sure the end stays that light blue color. Okay, so now we have multicolor in here. You can still see there's like some harsh edges though of where the colors change. So in order to blur that out, we're going to go to this little wand up here, which is image adjustments, and then Gaussian blur right here. Now if you slide your pencil on the screen to the right, you're gonna see some blur happening. So the blur percentage right now is at 17%. If you go up too high, then it's gonna just muddy all the colors together, and if you don't blur it enough, then nothing's really gonna happen. So I usually go around, like right now I'm about 13% blurred. So you can see it gives it a really nice effect, and you can change this blur percentage. 16% blurs it even more, okay? So once you're happy with how that blur looks, you can tap that arrow again, or that wand again to get out of that menu, and now we have some blurred letters. So we're gonna add one more little feature here, and it's some glitter. So go to your menu of color and choose white. Then let's go to our brushes. Now open up your brush library and go down until you find luminance. And under luminance, there's a glimmer brush, so choose glimmer. And now what we're gonna do is just draw some stars. So you can play around with this brush. The harder you press, the brighter and larger the stars become. And if you don't press down as hard on the pencil, then they're a little bit lighter. So just color in some stars wherever you think it looks good. And now we have some nice glittery colored letters. So something really fun to watch is the video time-lapse of what you created. So go to your wrench icon and then choose video and time-lapse replay, and now you can see a complete review of everything that you did in this project from start to finish in just 3 seconds, which is pretty neat. Okay, let's do a bonus little trick. So right now we have this quote, "Love what you do." I'm going to duplicate this layer. So go to your layer menu, slide this layer to the left and choose duplicate. So now you have 2 copies of this layer. We're going to hide the one that's underneath, so just check that box, and now we're on this top one. So it doesn't really look like things were changing here, but now we have this second copy up here. We're going to rearrange this quote now. So go to your selection and choose freehand. And first we're going to, well, first of all, you want to make sure you have some margin around your picture here, so have enough space around the edge of the quote. Draw an outline around the word do with that selection. Then choose your arrow, and then we're going to just move this up into the top left corner right here. Make sure it's not going off of the canvas or overlapping any of your letters. Just put it in the white over here. Now let's grab our word love. So tap that selection, draw an outline around the word love, and then choose your arrow, and let's move this down right about here. So if magnetic is on, it's going to snap it to go straight up and down. So if you're getting annoyed by that, you can turn magnetic off and you can move it wherever you want. I want to move it right about there. Okay, and then let's go back to our do and freehand select around it and move it right about here. And now we have a quote that says, "Do what you love." So if I switch back and forth between these, it says, "Love what you do what you love." So if you wanted to export both of these layers as their own PNG file or their own picture file, then check both of these boxes so both of these layers appear. Don't check that one with the template. And then go into your wrench and choose share. And under share layers, choose PNG files. So now it's going to say save 2 images. So if we hit that, it's going to save both of these layers, these 2 layers, as their own image file. So going to my camera roll, you can see that here it saved this layer and then it saved that one. And one final little bonus trick that you can do, let's have both of these layers turned on right here. You can create an animated GIF or GIF of this. So if you go to your wrench and go to share, choose animated GIF, and it's going to give you a preview. It's basically switching back and forth between those 2 layers that we have on. You can increase the frames per second to make it go faster, or you can slow it down. And then just to export it, you would choose full resolution and save image. So now when I go back to my camera roll, we have an animated GIF going back and forth between those two layers, which is pretty neat. So I hope you enjoyed learning that project. If you want to learn more about how to use Procreate for lettering to create some awesome techniques, we have an online course that starts off with the basics of using the Procreate app, using all of the menu items and common features that we use in our projects for lettering. Then we have a project section, which walks you through over 16 step-by-step projects of how to create some amazing, impressive digital artwork. And it's going to show you exactly the settings and brushes and masks and clipping masks and layer management that we use so that you can recreate these amazing digital art projects that you're proud of. So we talk about lettering, like this is intertwining letters, and lots of tips and tricks throughout to bring your lettering to life and make it look really impressive. So it's a lot easier, we think, to learn how to use the features of Procreate when you're doing it in a project context, kind of like we did today. Also, this course includes all of the most recent updates of the app. At the end, we have a bonus section on how to create cut files and mockups using Procreate, and you get a ton of bonus resources as well. So these are the 16 projects that you will learn to create. You also get some custom brushes that we've made and some lettering guides, as well as the lettering templates for every single project as well. So if you are interested, go to lovelyloops.com/procreate to sign up today. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this project and learned some tips, and don't forget to subscribe if you'd like even more tips from our channel.